Howdy, Axe. Now, just like that, everyone looks around and they wonder whether or not I'm talking to the A&M folks or to the Utah State folks because it's going to be an Aggie on Aggie show this weekend. And it's a great question. Welcome to the Aggie Central podcast. I'm your host, Central. To Utah State people out there, I like to start off my previews with a good roast of the team I'm previewing. Get their goat a little bit, rile them up, just have a little fun, but then show my respect by giving a solid and accurate preview of your team. So I wanted to real bad. I really want to do this. It's become something I've just had a lot of fun with, but I just don't see how I can bring myself to roast a fellow Aggie. Most are thinking, yeah, but they're not Aggies like we're talking about Aggies, right? Well, sure, they don't have a Aggie ring like ours. They don't wear maroon like us, but by God, they're a lot closer to being us than a T-SIP. Their college was started with the Moral Land Grant Colleges Act, just like ours. They have a major focus on military sciences and agriculture, and in fact, they were started as an agricultural school. They were originally referred to as UAC. And did the University of Utah get jealous of their prowess bold and try to consolidate with them too? You bet they did. And thank God for Sol Ross. Otherwise, that might have happened to us. So, I've got an affinity for this state, and with Utah State being the Aggies, I'm going to take it a little easy. Okay, I have vacationed out there in the last 2 summers, hence the shirt for Park City. So I'm going to ride in solidarity with you at this point. I've been out hiking the Timpanogos, kayaking the Jordanelle, as well as Stewart Falls, and done a lot of time, spent a lot of time in Park City. I want to go back to see Deer Valley, do some skiing. If I have to say anything to any of you Aggies, maybe visiting out there, it's a fantastic place. If you can get over to Shabu, that's my favorite restaurant in the entire place. Get the cod, you won't regret it. Oh my gosh. With all that being said, we're going to have to put you down like a dog this weekend, okay? Gloves off, gonna have to put you down like a dog, okay? Old Yeller style, that's the way it's gonna be. So I've had my little bit of fun. So, keynotes. Let's get into some keynotes with this game. Third coach in as many years with Bronco Mendenhall at the helm. Wins last year over Robert Morris, Wyoming, Hawaii, and San Diego State. Losses: USC, Utah, UNLV, Temple, Boise. It goes on, okay? Suffice to say, they went 4-8 last year, not the season they were wanting to have. What they are looking to have this year is more consistency. A coach that's going to stay, players that are going to stay, and that's going to start up front with Bryson Barnes, QB1. He returns, not as the starter, but he'll be bringing with him 856 yards, 12 TDs, 6 INTs. He has had a first outing this year against UTEP. Went 19 of 28, put up 233 yards and a touchdown, added 15 more runs onto that with 29 yards and a TD. The kid has some wills, so be on the lookout. We're going to have to play this guy outside of the box as well. He will get loose from time to time. But the wills are really going to come in the form of Miles Davis. Running back one, returns as well. Going to be trying to replace 1,100 yards of rushing on the first matchup with UTEP. He gives them 88 yards and a TD. Okay, he broke one for 58 yards. He's going to get credit for 5.5 yards per carry. With the 58-yarder excluded, however, he's only averaging 2.7 yards per carry on 11 totes. But he's versatile. He gave them 61 more yards through the air with 6 catches. So something to look out for out of the backfield as well as handing off. He's dangerous. He's a good guy. I think he's going to give them about what they need to get so they can maybe get into bowl contention this year. Between those two guys, they're going to be the heart and soul of this team, in my opinion. They lose 3 of their top 5 wide receivers from last year and 0 returning stars on the offensive line, so that's going to be pretty tough to overcome. They were active in the portal, but none of their ads were proven playmakers, and none started at their previous postings. So it's going to be a difficult uphill battle all year. I'm going to be pulling for them on offense. From the first game, from what I can tell, they look like they are going to be poised to make some noise in their conference this year. I do think that. We'll get to more of that. Let's get to the defense right now. They lose 3 starters on the D line. replace a lot of the secondary as well, but with their portal work, they think that that will be their strength. Interesting that they think that will be a strength, losing so many guys, but they are pretty confident in the guys they got in the portal. Now, leading the way is Noah Avenger. He led the team with 11 tackles, and he's the early leader for Aggie Newcomer of the Year. He had 8 solos in the first game. Leadership's going to come from the linebacker position. Linebacker is where they have the most experience. John Miller will lead the group from the position. He put up 10 tackles, 3 solo, 1 sack, 1.5 tackles for loss in the first contest. So that's going to be their leader. I think it's a hungry team. I really do. I watch the way they play. All the baseline stuff is there, the stuff that you want to be in place before you start with X's and O's. They're pretty tenacious. They're pretty physical for that type of team, and they are effort-wise. Everything looks to be in place for me. So I will be pulling for them. They did a really nice job in the first game against UTEP. They got the win. And one thing I just want to note that really stood out to me was when the backup QB, what's his name, Anthony Garcia, he comes in for the 2-point conversion, and then when he's running this play, and it was just a different play. It wasn't too fancy, but he leaped over. The effort and the tenaciousness from this guy was something that just stood out to me. So I think that they're going to be a team that is going to be primed to make a splash in their conference. I don't know if they're going to go 10-2 or anything like that, but they're going to be better than 4-8. I feel confident in that. Something to note, Anthony Garcia, he is also playing wide receiver for them. He added 51 yards with 3 catches. One of those was a 17-yarder. So watch out for the double pass. Might try and get tricky with this guy since they've got their backup playing wide receiver at this point. But we've seen that before, i.e. Tannehill, right? So, but this game is about A&M's development with the Notre Dame matchup looming next week. Keys to this game for us, not a big preview because of what we've got going on here. When it comes to understanding our team, we need to stay healthy. We need to flex our speed, athleticism, and power. Not worry too much about the size. It's been said we're going to have a size differential. I don't think we will that much. We will have a speed and athleticism differential. Speed is going to play a big part in this game. It's going to look like night and day from teams we've played in the past, especially coming from the wide receivers. I think this time we need to open up the playbook a little bit, and we've got to develop that deep ball. Because if we're thinking about trying to beat Notre Dame in 2 weeks, not trying to look forward, I know we got the team on the slate right now, but if that's what we're doing, we've got to open up this playbook so we can create other weapons. Okay, talk more on that in just a minute, but we've got to create other threats for multiple reasons. None more than to create that deep ball, stretch the field a little bit, but also whenever those easy points are coming up, we've got to be able to convert. And so that's got to be something that we are going to hit on when we got KC just wide open. Those easy points cannot be left on the field. Okay? Fourth key, backup work. We need our backups to play more minutes this time. So we need to get out to a lead quick. Hopefully get our starters out by at least the end of the third quarter. Middle of the third quarter would be even better. We need our backups to get some work. That way we can bolster, fill in gaps for any injuries that come up, because they're inevitable. We've been managing them well, but something's going to come up. But even then, just to develop depth, because starters aren't going to play the entire game every single snap. We need depth, and we need the ability to fill in anybody that goes down. So those are my keys to this game, not necessarily specific to Utah State, but specific to this type of game, thinking about the rest of the season, thinking about Notre Dame coming up. And that really just kind of rolls me right into thinking about what are the factors for success long term. So I just emphasize these a little bit more. Again, getting that deep ball. I want to see the timing developed like it needs to be. I want to see the second team get more work, and I want to create more threats and more weapons. For the other team to have to prep, right now they're thinking to themselves, I need to take away KC, I need to take away Mario Craver. Fine. Thinking about somebody like Marcus Freeman and Notre Dame, that's something he can do. With their defense, they can take away these guys from our scheme. So we've got to have other places to go from, whether that be Ashton Bethel-Roman, Terry Bussey, our running game, tight ends. There's got to be way more weapons. And I'll go even go to say, thinking about the tight ends and the running backs, when it comes to Theo and Nia Black, it can't just be when we've got these guys in, we're going to do certain things and we're only going to throw to certain people. There needs to be a depth of weapon as well. Ruben needs to be just as dangerous as Le'Veon. EJ Smith needs to be just as dangerous as the other ones within reason, or at least have some of the same skill set. So we need to really create some new weapons. That deep ball, if it works out, and that's a new weapon we've got, that's a lot for a team to prep for. Okay, so thinking about our long-term success, I think that's a really big piece to think about for this team's development this week in particular. You got to get some things down so that they are ready to go into Notre Dame and contend to win that game, right? We can't just go run some of the plays we're expecting to run for the first time in that game. We don't want to be like getting ready in that game through the first quarter. We want to be hitting we want to hit the ground running, firing on all cylinders. So running some of those plays we would not normally be running in these early games is something I'd like to see in this one. I don't know that we'll do it. I don't know if we're going to see exotic blitzes or some of the guard pulling that we've done for our run plays or some of the more intricate routes that we're going to be running. But I'd like to see a little bit more of that this game. Okay. So, last thing we need to do, last thing for this long term season, thinking about development for this game, run defense. Run defense. That's the glaring issue. I don't think it's so much of the defensive line issue, but it needs to get fixed either way. There's a communication factor between the linebackers and the safeties and how they mesh with that defensive line when they come up for the run blocking that needs to get fixed. And I do believe that it got fixed after that first drive in the second half. But that is a glaring issue that needs to get done. Or if you'll remember how Notre Dame took advantage of some of those big bursts last year, we don't want more of that this year. So finding the right fits, not only for the front four and finding the combination of the front four, but also how they're going to work with the linebackers and safeties to make those gaps get filled, right? So if Utah State's going to be close or if they're going to contend for anything, they're not. They're not going to come close to winning this game. But let's just say they keep it close through the first quarter, second quarter, something like that. How could they do it? Well, I think UTSA kind of showed you the way to do it. You're going to do two things: stack the box and crowd the box. Those are two different things. So specifically, you're probably going to want to have to play man. You can only run about one safety. You run two like UTSA did, but they crowded the box. So they didn't play very far away, 8 to 10 yards max. And then one of them was constantly coming into the box. So that gave them a really good shot of nailing down the run. We still busted a couple here and there. But if they're going to do something, that's where they want to do it. But they're going to have to couple that with solid coverage. So if they can find a way to load the box and crowd the box so they can take away the running game as best they possibly can and then play solid coverage, then I can stay close. Maybe I can stay close. They're really going to have to watch out for that deep ball. I think there's a great opportunity to work on that deep ball because we've got speed on the outside. Actually, we've got speed all around on the wide receiver core. So if they're going to play up, any kind of move that gets us a little bit of space could be really dangerous. Really dangerous. Prediction. I was pretty good last week. Remember, I had 45 to 20. It was 42 to 17 in the fourth quarter with about a minute to go. They scored the last touchdown, making it 42-24. So I feel like I gave you a really good one there. I'm trying to do my best to give you one here. You know, it's something I don't care about being right. It makes me feel like I gave you a solid preview. So I'm going to go 42-10 here. And I think they probably put a score together late. It could be something like 42-6. They've gotten a couple of field goals, and maybe they get them a touchdown to make it 13, something in that area. I think 42 is about right for us. The one thing that's difficult to kind of nail down on this now because of what we've done is the special teams are going to make it difficult to predict. If we get a special teams touchdown like last weekend, and maybe even a pick six or something like that, this could really balloon up. But if we're just talking about offensive points, I think we're somewhere in the 42-point range. Okay. I'm hoping the defense can keep them to 10 or less points for the entirety. That includes the last quarter when we should have all backups playing. So that's what I got. I got 42-10. We will revisit and we will take a look at some of the things that this team needs to do to get ready for Notre Dame later in the week leading up to this game. Okay. Thanks for joining me. That's the Aggie Sister Podcast.